Ruth Hetherington is the Middle East spokesperson for the International Committee of the Red Cross. She joins me now from Geneva. Thanks so much for being with us. Let's look first at mental health, if we can. Just the psychological toll of losing a loved one, I mean, that's hard enough for anyone to deal with. But on top of that, these are young people losing their homes, their schools, their country, basically everything they've known. And they still, at this point, have nothing to go back to. How do they even begin recovering?
Thank you. Yes, exactly. You laid it out in the introduction. The figures are staggering. Almost half who said that they had lost a close family member or friend. 1 in 6 had had parents injured or killed. And as you said, this is happening at a time when they are entering adolescence, they're entering young adulthood, at a time when they still need, probably more than ever, those family networks and support. And so on top of all the loss and the disruption, and it really is unimaginable, this survey just lays out a litany of how much loss these young people have dealt with. Above it all, the mental health toll really did come out so strong, both in terms of the impact, but also in terms of young people identifying that it was really something that they needed support with. And that was interesting because on top of the very practical things that they said they want economic opportunities. They want jobs. They want access to jobs and information about it. They also said they wanted access to education. They wanted to continue their education and healthcare. Mental health support was up there in the top 4 needs that in all 3 countries, they mentioned it as something that they saw as critical to their future. Because of course, this survey isn't just a history lesson. It's not just about what has gone by and what they've dealt with in the past. They know, and we know, the world knows that what these young people have been through will affect where they're going, and it'll affect how they get there. And they're very conscious of that as well. So yes, the loss is concrete. It's loss of family, it's loss of homes and properties, but it's also loss of opportunity and loss of control over their future. And
Right.
all of this was layered on top of each other, making this huge psychological toll that they are struggling with.
Right. And the truth is, we actually all suffer when a generation of people is robbed of an education and basic peace and stability. So how hard will it be, for Syria to try to recover?
We know that the situation, the humanitarian situation there is dire, and it's actually it's worsening by the day. In many cases, when you look at the numbers of people who now need humanitarian aid, there's been a 20% increase in the last 12 months alone. So the consequences of conflict ongoing, but also an economic crisis, and then of course the global pandemic, all of this has combined to make this truly awful situation that is pushing people deeper into poverty and hunger. Some 60% of Syrians now don't have enough food or can't find enough food, can't access enough food. So this has been the case throughout the conflict. What these young people told, it attests to that. But now more than ever, it is getting worse. So the need for support is huge.
Right.
And this is a moment the international community can't turn away now.
Indeed.
Syria and Syrians need support. This is quite clear.
And most disturbing, you even mentioned, how sanctions, even though they're meant, to punish what they believe is a war criminal, they actually exacerbate the human suffering in the country as well. But the silver lining, I think, in your report was that most Syrians you surveyed said they remain optimistic about their future. Why? And how do they actually keep that optimism?
Yes, this was another really striking aspect of the report. Despite everything they had been through, and it's a lot, as we can see, their hopes and dreams remain constant, and they're so universal. They're like any young people their age. They want to have a good job. They want to get married. A fifth of them postponed their weddings because of the conflict. They want to have a family. They want to be able to settle down. They know there's better waiting for. They hope. They want to have all the things that young people anywhere want. And rather strikingly, many of them did see their future back in Syria. They want to be in Syria or to go back into Syria, many of them. In a way, they want their cities to be rebuilt. And just we need to remember that this generation, they're stuck in a way in that they have lost their adolescence and a chunk of their young adulthood to this conflict. And they're now looking towards what the next decade brings for Syria. And they are going to have to shoulder part of this burden or all of recovery. And their children are probably also going to be affected by this as well. And despite this, they are firmly focused on those things that every single one of us can identify with: family, friends, stability, security, an end to this conflict that they think will give them all of that.
Ruth Hetherington, International Committee of the Red Cross, thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.